What's your biggest fear?
Being in the ocean in the middle of the dark, in the water, in the open water.
What's your biggest realistic fear?
Realistic fear? Dying alone, being lonely, and later in life. I think that's the biggest fear. Is just like, especially, I'm older than most people. I'm not married yet. Obviously, Sophia's incredible. But yeah, I mean, focusing your entire life on materialism and, buying, building, career. And then at some point you find yourself later in life where you're in a hospital and I don't know, you donate all your money to the state, right? Like something like that. I think would be my biggest fear.
What about that is fearful to you?
I just know that family and friends is the most important thing in this world. Relationships is the number one most important thing in this world. And it's so easy to get caught up in the other things in this world. Obviously, I love cars. I think as I've gotten older, I understand what they are more so. I don't love them as much as I used to. Like when I was really young, I was like obsessed. And now I love them probably because I've experienced them so much. But yeah, I mean, I think just at some point in life, regretting focusing so much on more. But I also think it's important to have a good balance.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's important to have dreams. It's important to be productive. It's important to work. It's important to have goals, just not sacrificing, everything to where you're lonely in a hospital.
Yeah.
My dad passed away since we've had the podcast. And, my dad, I look at his life and he was a man who, he wasn't a rich man in the terms of the world, right? Like his net worth was not crazy. Like I make more in a year than he made in his life. But, my dad was married to my mom for almost 40 years. He had 4 boys who all loved him, who all spoke at his funeral.
How did that change your life after he passed away? What was, because for me, it doesn't even seem like it's a possibility that a parent could pass.
Right,
like it doesn't
right.
even seem like that could ever happen.
I think it's weird because it's like, in a sense, it's leveled me up as a human. I have so much more empathy for someone who's lost someone. It is the hardest thing in the world. I mean, it's like incomparable to any other challenge you will ever face in your entire life is losing a parent or, a spouse or a child, right? Like it's because everything else in life has a solution, right? Everything else can be fixed. You file bankruptcy, whatever, like you fail a test, whatever. I mean, you get in a car accident, you fix the car, right? But when you lose someone you love, it's over. Like that's it. Like there's, there's always going to be some level of regret, obviously. Like, oh, why didn't I spend more time with my dad? Why didn't I do this more with him? And so, but from that standpoint, now, like since then, unfortunately, I've had some close people lose friends or family of theirs. And I feel like I've been there for them on a different level than I would have been before, or that I was before with other people who had lost loved ones. I had a friend when I was in elementary school who lost their dad when he was 10 years old. And until I lost my dad, it never dawned on me how hard that must have been. But it also, it gives me like a greater appreciation for my dad. There's nothing like losing someone that kind of opens your eyes to like what you had. And unfortunately, like everything in life is kind of that way. Like you don't know what you have until it's gone. But sometimes like you see things from a different perspective. I see some of the things that my dad did for me and it's just like, what an amazing person, And some of that regret exists in that sense though, because you're like, oh, I wish I could go back and tell him how grateful I am for everything that he did for me. So yeah, I mean, it's been, I've spent more time with my mom too because of it, which has been really, really good. We've done some cool trips, went to Alaska with her. And that's been one of the, you look at life and everything happens for a reason. And, maybe I've been a better son to my mom because my dad passed. Maybe I'm a better boyfriend to my girlfriend because I have more empathy. Like, I'd like to think of myself as being a better human, but it's definitely it's affected my YouTube channel a lot as far as just like the passion,
because it maybe helped you reevaluate your values a little bit?
No, I think it's just kind of like, almost like, what's the point? So the first year my dad passed was really, really, really hard. It's just like, I mean, it just seems like everything is so pointless, right? Like what's the purpose? Like, why even bother? Like, who cares? We're all going to die. Like, one thing that I really struggled with is I would be resentful towards other people when they were with their dad. Sorry.
That's fine.
What's happening? It's just like, yeah, I mean, I would get mad.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to tell you from my perspective, it makes me think of things differently because you don't have that sort of appreciation without having a loss like that or something in your life. Because besides grandparents, I've really lost nobody in my life except for grandparents. Thankfully, have all pretty much been from old age.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird. Like, your mind, you just have so many games you play, and you think, yeah, it's like, I think about, my dad never had to experience old age though.
Yeah.
He never was an old man, which is kind of cool. My dad lost his parents, but he never lost a sibling. He never lost a son. He didn't ever have to lose his driver's license. He never had to take a ton of medication. He never had to walk or be in a wheelchair. Like, he never had to deal with that. So you always try to, like,
Yeah,
take the good in a bad situation. Like, well, he died, I guess, relatively peacefully. I mean,
yeah.
I got to see him in the hospital. So it definitely gives you a new perspective. And that kind of goes back to what you were saying, like, my biggest regret, like, I don't want to die alone.
Yeah.